Nothingness, a word that collapses under its own weight the moment it's spoken. We talk about it as if we understand it, like we can point to it, define it, tuck it into language like it's a coat we can fold neatly and put away. But nothingness is not a thing. That's its essence. That's its paradox. If non-existence truly doesn't exist, then it isn't there to be grasped, observed, or even imagined. It's not darkness. Darkness is still something. It's not silence either. Silence hums in your ears if you listen long enough. Try to perceive nothingness, and what you're actually doing is smuggling in something: awareness, perception, context. Like trying to see pure blackness with a flashlight. You're already corrupting the moment you attempt to see. Nothingness has no shape, no color, no texture. It isn't empty space, because space is still a stage, still a container for something to exist within. So what are we even pointing to when we say non-existence? We're using language to describe an absence, but the moment we form a sentence, we've populated the void with thought. We've already betrayed it. Non-existence can't have qualities, because to have qualities would mean it is. And if it is, then it isn't non-existence. It collapses into contradiction. And yet, we continue to talk about it, because we feel it on some strange intuitive level as the thing just beyond perception, as the dark curtain at the edge of all things that we're terrified to pull back. But the more we peer behind it, the more we realize there's nothing there to see, because there's no there, just the absence of manifestation. The not yet, the unformed, and perhaps not even that. Not a pause, not a blank slate. Simply not. That's why non-existence has no independent reality. It doesn't stand on its own. It only appears in contrast to existence, like a shadow that isn't real until something blocks the light. It's the imagined boundary at the end of form, the place we think things fall into when they end. But nothing truly disappears. Things transform, they decay, they shift into other states. Entropy doesn't erase existence, it recycles it. The caterpillar dissolves into a butterfly, and we marvel at the beauty without acknowledging that we've buried the caterpillar alive. We pretend the old thing is gone when it's merely changed shape. Even ashes are not nothing. They are the rearranged remains of what once was. Just because the pattern has collapsed doesn't mean the material has vanished. We witness this in compost, in decay, in the endless life of matter-shifting costumes. Death is never a deletion. It's an unwrapping, a collapse of a structure, not of being. When your body returns to the soil, it doesn't disappear. It reintegrates, rejoins, becomes part of something new, something ancient, something cyclical. Everything dies, we say, but even death is a word soaked in misunderstanding. We treat it like a stop sign, a wall, a void. But death is process, not termination. What ceases to be in one form becomes the raw material for something else. The atoms that made up your childhood home are scattered now, part of trees, soil, maybe even someone else's lungs. So did the house cease to exist, or did it return to the formless ocean it came from? Form ends. That much is undeniable. But what ends is the configuration, not the existence of the thing itself. Like a wave crashing back into the sea, it loses its distinct shape, but not its essence. This is where the illusion runs deep. We think form is identity, that the moment something stops looking, feeling, or behaving the way it used to, it must no longer exist. But that's a surface-level interpretation of reality. Go deeper and you'll see, form is just the expression, not the source. It's the song, not the musician, the echo, not the voice. When form ends, what was expressing itself through that form remains. Invisible, perhaps, but not gone. Consider music. A song ends and the room falls silent. The notes are no longer vibrating in the air. But did the music cease to be? Or did it retreat into silence, waiting to be played again? Just because you no longer hear it doesn't mean the music has died. It's stored in memory, in silence, in the potential of sound waiting for reactivation. The paradox is clear. The moment you try to hold on to a form forever, it already begins to slip away. And yet that doesn't mean nothing remains. Something does. The resonance, the memory, the soul print. To the materialist, when the form ends, the thing ends. Full stop. There's nothing underneath. But the mystic sees deeper. The mystic knows that what appears to vanish has merely slipped into invisibility, into the unmanifest. Like a character stepping off stage, not dead, just no longer in the spotlight. The being behind the form never began and never ended. It simply appeared as that form for a little while, like a mask worn for one act of the play. And if you've ever loved someone who's died, you know this. You feel it. The body is gone, but the presence hasn't evaporated. It lingers in certain rooms. It speaks through dreams. It echoes in your thoughts with a voice you didn't invent. This is not sentimentality. It's a different way of knowing. A knowing that bypasses logic and speaks straight to the soul. We talk about the ego like it's a prison, something to overcome or destroy. But what if it's more like a costume we fell in love with? You're not supposed to hate your ego. You're meant to see through it, not because it's bad, but because it's not all there is. It's a reflection in the water, not the water itself. And yeah, you might shed it one day, but that doesn't mean it was a mistake to wear it. The tragedy isn't in losing the form, it's in never realizing you were more than the mask. Death strips away form. The body, the voice, the persona, it all falls. But something remains. Something was watching it all along. Something that has no shape, no past, no name, and yet is the source of every shape, every moment, every identity. Pure presence, awareness itself, the witness, the I am. You were never the wave. You were the ocean pretending. From that place, form can rise again. Not as repetition, but as recreation. Not reincarnation in the way pop culture sells it, some rerun of past lives, but as the soul choosing new forms to wear, new masks to explore itself through. What if death is just the final ego death? The last surrender of form, the return of the drop into the sea. And what if the sea remembers every drop? This is where the fear creeps in. Because yes, this version of you, the one with your specific laugh and the way you like your coffee and the way you cry during certain movies, that version will not exist again. And that can feel like a cosmic robbery. Even if you believe in eternity, in rebirth, in divine cycles, it won't bring back this exact arrangement of thoughts and bones and quirks. You, as you know yourself now, will be gone, and that sucks. That hurts. But here's the deeper truth. You're not wrong to love yourself. In fact, maybe the whole game was designed so that you would. Maybe the point isn't to escape the self, but to cherish it fully, knowing it won't last. You are a one-time event in the cosmos, a rare, sacred combination, a unique arrangement of stardust and soul. And that impermanence doesn't diminish you, it sanctifies you. The sacred is always fleeting. That's what makes it sacred. You don't cling to a sunset, you marvel at it, and then you let it go, changed by it. And perhaps that's the most human thing you can do, to know that it ends, and still love it anyway. So yes, the drop returns to the ocean, but the ocean never forgets the drop. The pattern, the soul print you leave behind is etched into the very fabric of all being. Not as a memory, as a vibration, a signature. Maybe the universe doesn't delete anything. Maybe it remembers in a language we haven't yet learned how to speak. Maybe it sings your name back into itself over and over again as a kind of eternal echo. Spiritual traditions romanticize ego death as if it's the prize for good behavior. But the truth is more nuanced. It's not about annihilation, and it's not about blissfully floating in a sea of oneness. It's about waking up to the fact that you are the ocean and the wave, the light and the shadow, the form and the formless. You contain it all. The advanced souls, those who wake up before the final act, they begin to carry memory not as facts or timelines, but as essence, a flavor of being, a soul signature. Some call it the rainbow body, others the oversoul. Names don't matter. What matters is that they begin to live from the part of themselves that doesn't die. They anchor the self beyond form. They walk through this life knowing it will end, and yet loving it anyway. They don't escape the ego. They transcend their dependence on it. And sometimes they return. Not out of karma, not out of lack, but out of choice. Because they have something to offer. Something to remember. Something to teach. And now, as you stand on the edge of understanding, here's the truth. Non-existence doesn't exist. It never has. It is only the imagined pause between breaths, the shadow cast by perception. What we call nothing is just the place where the unmanifest holds its breath before birthing a new reality. It is not the absence of being, but the presence of potential. Not the end, but the exhale before the next inhale of creation. So let go of the fear of vanishing. You are not a fluke. You are not an accident. You are the universe learning to see itself from one more beautiful, fleeting angle. The moment you dissolve, you return, not to nothing, but to everything. To the formless field where all dreams are born. And maybe, just maybe, you'll choose to rise again. Not because you have to, but because you can. Nothingness isn't the opposite of existence. It's the womb it crawls out of. In the end, There is no end, only change, only becoming, only love, pressed into form, shattered, and reborn. Thanks for watching. If you found value in this video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.